Hey Grand Adventurers, welcome back. I'm your host Mark Guido, and we're only about 4 miles south of the Canadian border this week in the far northwestern corner of Montana, exploring the logging town of Eureka and its beautiful surroundings. Come along. This episode of Grand Adventure is sponsored by etrailer.com, where you'll find thousands of products for RVing, towing, camping, outdoor recreation, vehicles, boating, and more. Click the link in the video description or scan the code on your screen to shop etrailer.com with Grand Adventure. Settlers arrived in the Tobacco Valley in the latter part of the 19th century, moving north from Missoula and south from Canada. Steamboats on the nearby Koocanusa River and old Indian trails brought the first non-native settlers to the region, with those same steamboats carrying mail and supplies to the region's inhabitants. Upon finding Indians growing a native strain of tobacco here, as he searched for a route to the Pacific Ocean, Northwest Company trader and geographer David Thompson first named this place Tobacco Plains in 1808. Originally known as Deweyville, the town of Eureka, Montana was founded in the floor of the valley, along the banks of the Tobacco River, just south of the Canadian border in the early 1880s, as one of the last areas to be developed in Montana. But the arrival of the Great Northern Railroad in 1904 changed everything. Not only did it enable homesteaders to more easily reach the Tobacco Valley, but it provided a means of exporting products. Logging was a major draw and source of income for Tobacco Valley residents for decades. Founded in 1906, the Eureka Lumber Company thrived for the next 18 years. They initially floated logs down the Tobacco River from logging camps around Trego and 14. But when the low-hanging fruit along the river was exhausted, they built a railroad up to Frank Lake around 1918. During the 1950s and 1960s, Eureka was billed as the Christmas tree capital of the world, with the region's prolific native Douglas fir trees shipped to many urban points for holiday sales. However, the timberlands surrounding Eureka today are now part of the Kootenai National Forest. One of the last lumber mills located here, and Eureka's largest employer at the time, Owens & Hurst, closed at this site in 2005 and laid off its 90 employees, citing scarce lumber availability through the Forest Service timber sale program. There's still limited lumber activity taking place here on a smaller scale, but Eureka's economy now largely depends on an influx of tourists who come to enjoy the Tobacco Valley's relatively unspoiled environment. The town's commercial core centralizes along a 2-mile stretch of U.S. Highway 93, comprising the town's Dewey and Main Streets. It wasn't until World War I that roads finally reached Eureka. And given the town's proximity to Canada, it didn't take long during Prohibition for rum runners and bootleggers to take advantage of the new mode of transportation. Like we mentioned over the past 2 episodes, everything in Montana is all about huckleberries. Everything. We'll show you where we're staying in Eureka, as well as some of the town's historical buildings, a massive nearby international reservoir, as well as some of the region's numerous natural lakes, the second longest railroad tunnel in the U.S., and more immediately following a brief message from our valued video sponsor, etrailer. Whether you need products for your RV, boat, trailer, vehicle, hunting and fishing, off-roading, and more, our video sponsor etrailer has you covered. Best of all, you'll find over 100 US-based enthusiast customer service reps ready to help via phone, chat, or email, both before and after the sale. These folks have used themselves the products that you're shopping for, and you won't find a more knowledgeable team anywhere to help you with your outdoor project. Click the link in the video description or scan the code on your screen to shop etrailer.com with Grand Adventure. We had planned to boondock in the Eureka area and had several potential sites mapped out prior to our arrival. But once again, the weather forecast scuttled our plans, and when it was predicted to be cloudy and wet for much of this week, we instead made a reservation at Indian Springs, Montana RV Resort on the north edge of town. This is a beautifully landscaped new facility with 95 full hookup sites adjacent to their own perfectly manicured golf course, directly beneath the picturesque Galton Range that lines the eastern side of the Tobacco Valley. Electrical service is 50, 30, and 20 amp. Pads are gravel. Pull-through sites and some back ends have a grassy area to accompany the remaining gravel landscape. And all sites come with a picnic table and fire ring. We're paying a shoulder season weekly rate of $45 per night plus lodging tax. My only complaint about this campground is the annoying neighbors who walk right over uninvited and insist upon watching my outdoor TV. The Tobacco Valley Historical Village in Eureka preserves buildings and artifacts dating to the late 1880s and early 1900s, from around the Tobacco Valley, offering a glimpse into the lives of early settlers in the area. The damming of the Kootenai River by the Libby Dam in 1972 has created Lake Koocanusa, which passes just west of Eureka in its 90-mile span on both sides of the U.S.-Canada border. It was formed as a joint project between the two countries, and its name is a portmanteau of Kootenai River, Canada, and USA. The Great Northern Railroad was moved. The town of Rexford, Montana was moved to higher ground, and the town of Waldo, British Columbia was inundated. The lake holds 13% of the water in the entire Columbia River system and supports a wide variety of fish species, but the water level is hideously low during our visit. Fortunately, there are countless, far more beautiful natural lakes in the area, some of which we'll visit momentarily, along with that railroad tunnel and a commanding view from high above. That all comes following a quick ad break to pay the bills, so stay tuned. Relocating the Great Northern Railroad for Lake Koocanusa's creation included a 7-mile railroad tunnel through Elk Mountain between Eureka and Libby. The Flathead Tunnel is the second longest railroad tunnel in the United States, after the Cascade Tunnel through Stevens Pass in Washington State, which is 7.8 miles long. The tunnel is used by about 40 freight trains each day, as well as Amtrak's Empire Builder passenger route that was first started by the Great Northern Railroad in 1929. The site is posted, and this is as close as we could get. Now, onto those beautiful natural lakes. In addition to a boat launch and fishing, 800-acre Dickey Lake, south of Eureka off US 93, offers excellent opportunities for waterfowl and wildlife viewing at an elevation of about 3,100 feet. Day use facilities include a swimming beach, public toilet, water and parking. There's an accessible trail that makes its way to an observation deck overlooking the lake and is less than 1 mile round trip. Two Forest Service dry campgrounds sit along the shoreline of Dickey Lake, including the North Dickey Lake campground shown here, with 23 sites nestled in a forest of larch and fir trees overlooking the lake shore. Murphy Lake, also right alongside US 93, gets by on its good looks alone. Glen Lake is surrounded by an extensive summer cottage community and showcases a beautiful turquoise color in the water along the shoreline. We tried to get to the Mount Marston Fire Lookout, developed in 1932 and still staffed in the summer. Getting there would have been 30 miles of this, round trip. It's located at an elevation of 7,343 feet. However, we were only able to get to 5,400 feet before the road became impassable and we had to turn around. We nevertheless got to enjoy some beautiful views from high on the Patrick Ridge to wrap up our wonderful visit to Montana's Tobacco Valley. We hope that you've enjoyed visiting the Eureka, Montana area with us. Now, back in the beginning of this episode, we told you we were only 4 miles south of the Canadian border. We're going to cross that border, and next week bring you to Fernie, British Columbia. So if you're not yet a grand adventurer, there is no better time than right now for you to go smash that little subscribe button, the one right down there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, and ring that notification bell to be sure that you never miss a grand adventure, which we premiere right here every Wednesday evening. We'd be honored if you shared the channel with your friends, family, and on social media. Understand, it's extremely important to us that if you liked this episode from Eureka, please be sure to give us a big thumbs up down below. And while you're down below, that's where you're going to find the comment section where we'd love to hear from you each and every week. So until next Wednesday from Fernie, British Columbia, Canada, please remember, life is nothing but a grand adventure. We'll see you then.